Mark and I, you know, you kind of had to be there, but we had a lot of fun with Bobby May and the robot. We locked him inside the robot once when everybody broke for lunch. We kind of locked him in there and said, oh, don't let him out, don't let him out, we'll take care of it. And everybody abandoned Bobby, and he was in the middle of the sandy stage, sitting there in the robot. And we felt guilty about this after about 10 minutes, so we decided we'd go back and we'd free Bobby. And we went back and we saw him across the soundstage, and there was smoke coming out of the robot, and we thought, oh no, God, we've killed him, you know, some wire shorted out and he's a crispy charcoal piece of flesh in there. Oh my God, what have we done? So we ran over to the robot and we unscrewed the bubble and we started to get him out, and here was Bobby May inside the robot with a little pen light flashlight, reading the Hollywood Reporter, smoking a cigar, happy as could be. He was so happy, he was just totally comfortable inside that robot, never wanted to get out of there.
Mr. Allen came onto the set and saw the smoke coming out of the top of the robot and says, my God, the robot's on fire, and went to get a fire extinguisher. I yelled at him. I said, no, no, it's only me, I'm smoking. Well, from then on, anytime they wanted a certain amount of smoke coming out of the robot, they would hand me a cigar and say, smoke it. Well, a cigarette is one thing, but a cigar gets, with that closed area, became kind of rough. And then we had a marvelous special effects man, Stu Moody, and he would help the situation with the smoke and things like this. I milked a cow once. I had my chauffeur drive me in. There was a lot of fun things of that nature. There was one time, now I must roll back, if I may, to Stu Moody, because I said he protected me, and he did. But there was one time that it wasn't his fault, and Jerry Duran was the director. And Jerry and we argued about, well, should we be in the Bermuda shorts or should we be in the full outfit? And I didn't want to be in the full outfit because we were going up the gangplank into the ship, and there was too many people there, and I was worried about somebody hitting the cable, and I felt that I could do it more comfortably in the Bermuda shorts and safer. Well, Jerry's the director, and the director is the captain of the ship. So we went in the full outfit, and somebody somehow hit the cable, and I did a 360-degree flip in the air. Now, if you're talking about Olympic scoring, I did a 10. I had a 10 from all the judges because it went up in the air, flipped over, and I was out cold. And the next thing I remembered is June Lockhart had me in her arms, in her lap, saying, "Are you all right, Bob?"
Yes, he went up the ramp, and the thing was so top-heavy, of course, it just went over, and we heard this, "Ah!" this horrible scream from him. And then everybody rushed to him, and they got the top off him, and I just, held his head, because he was at an angle with his head lower than his feet, and sort of tried to comfort him and see if he was all right. Apparently nothing was broken. Well, of course, he was so insulated, it was so shielded from anything in there, but it obviously was not built to fall over backwards in.
So I looked up at June, and the only thing I could ask her at that point was, "How's the robot?" Well, the prop crew did a magnificent job. It took 30 minutes. They rebuilt what was busted. I had to memorize the lines. I had to say them. I had to activate the light. Then Dick would come in and do 3 or 4 episodes like that, and just do it off of 3 beats and then start saying words.
About a week after I was the narrator, my agent got a call and said, Irwin would like to meet you in the looping room at 20th Century Fox because they are now looking for a voice for the robot. So I said, great. I presume what you're looking for is a very mechanical, robotian kind of a sound. And Irwin says, my dear boy, that is exactly what I do not want. He says, this is a very advanced civilization. I want, for the robot's voice, a very quiet, cultured, low-key, Alexander Scourby kind of approach. Alexander Scourby being the great New York narrator and actor who was sadly passed on a few years ago. I said, really, that's what you're looking for? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So now I'm doing my best Scourby imitation, and I'm doing low-key, not coloring the words, saying, warning, warning, it will not compute, that sort of thing. And he's saying, no, that's not right. Try this. That's not right. No, we're not getting it. Try this. After about 15 minutes, he said, well, look, he said, we've tried it. I appreciate you coming in. He said, I'll have to look further for the robot's voice. You're still the narrator on the show, and I appreciate you coming in. I said, Irwin, thanks a lot. And I started to leave. Then I said, Irwin, before I leave, let me just try one thing. And now I say, for the first time, warning, warning, it will not compute. Danger, danger, in my best mechanical Robotian sound. He said, my God, he said, that's the Alexander Scourby approach I wanted. What in the hell took you so long? Well, I literally turned my back to him because I didn't want to laugh in his face. I was just convulsed by this whole thing. It was a classic example, we all make the same mistake, of saying one thing and meaning precisely something else. So that's how I became the robot, and that's how I met Irwin. I never took any great particular pride or sense of creative accomplishment in doing Lost in Space because Bobby May, as all of you know, was inside the robot, and as he would talk inside the robot, he would press a couple of buttons in his hands, and the light would flash on his chest in synchronization with every syllable. So they would bring me in, and they would give me loops of his lines, a line at a time on an earphone. I would listen to it, and I would have to be in sync, in synchronization, with his lines. If I was in sync with him, I was then in sync with the light flashing in every syllable that I was uttering. When the robot laughed, sometimes you heard a kind of something like that. That was something that Bobby May did, that they decided to keep Bobby's laugh. On another show, I went, and they put that on, and they had me laughing, my laugh. I never know why, and there was no consistency. I mean, it wasn't like Bobby laughed the last time, so therefore he would laugh the next time, or vice versa. Lecturing at Syracuse University to a radio and television production class. And the professor, who wanted to introduce me to the youngsters in the class, said, can you just give me a list of some of your credits? So I very carefully wrote down things that I was proud of, that I thought were very prestigious. Well, he went through this list, and the kid sat there very impassionately listening, you know. And then he mentioned, oh yeah, and by the way, Mr. Tufeld was the voice of the robot in Lost in Space. And the kids just became unglued, and I was astounded. Because that was the first time that I really, you know, was aware that there was this kind of, because this was what, how many, 15 years ago, was still, about 15 or 20 years after the show had gone off the air. So I was amazed at this. I got a call from some guy in Houston who called me up and said, I just wanted to warn you, there's a guy who is a member of our fan club in New Jersey, whose name is Frank, and he called me and he said he's coming to Los Angeles and he's going to kill Billy, Mumy, and you. And I said, really? I said, I knew I wasn't too great on the show, but I didn't think I was that bad.